lost you for a while. We lost you like for 30 seconds. I mean, I did. I don't know if others could hear you.
Okay, I think it's the network. Okay, so I was giving a background that with the African Union, we are measuring and assessing progress on the continental agenda, which is the CADEB, that is Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. We do that every other year, biennial review, and one of the tools or one of the engagements and things that we try to measure is how the continent is responding to shocks and various shocks, including climatic shocks in the continent. And these two came handy to help us to assess our progress and what we can do differently to be able to be resilient into wheat and against all of
Hello. Hello, Wale.
My internet is not so stable. So I'll just hand
Yes.
over, without much ado, I just hand over to Joe, Dr. Joe, immediately to take us through the next 1.5 hours or so on what are the uses of this tool and how can we engage with the tool. Dr. Joe, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Wale. Thank you. Hopefully your internet will come back as we'll be heading to the session where you'll be facilitating the discussion. So good afternoon, everyone. We are very happy, my colleagues, and my colleague Yeshuas and myself, to welcome you to this RIMA training session this afternoon. As Wale very well introduced, this is an opportunity to interact with you on a tool which we believe is one of the most useful one in analyzing resilience. Okay, my name is Ojo Nanzamaso, and I work for the FAO Regional Office of Africa, based in Accra, in Ghana. And my role is I'm economist and resilience analysis specialist. So this afternoon, I'm providing this training along with two colleagues, Anne and Yeshua. So let me give them the floor to introduce themselves. Anne, can you introduce yourself to our good friends?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anh Lu. I'm from FAO headquarters and from the RIMA team. I'm here to support my colleagues Hojo and Joshua in this training. Nice to meet you all. I'm very sorry I have technical problem with the camera.
Okay, no problem. No problem, Anne, no problem. We'll have another session, so hopefully by then our friends will see you.
Yeah,
so, my second colleague is Yeshuas. Yeshuas, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Hojo. Hi, everyone. I'm Yeshuas Admasu. I'm an economist for Agri-Food Economics and Policy Division at FAO headquarters and working for RISA team. I'm based in Copenhagen, Denmark. Thank you, Hojo.
Thank you, Yeshua. So you can see that we are talking to you from different locations, and we believe you also are located in different places across Africa and maybe the world. So what my colleagues and myself are proposing this afternoon is to break this session down to 3 subsections. First, Yeshuas will take the floor over 20 to 25 minutes and take you through the theory of resilience analysis. Okay, it's going to be a presentation, and then after this presentation, we'll have a short session of a Q&A where you will have a chance to ask some questions. And Yeshua, myself, or Anne, we can come in, and maybe Wale as well, to provide some answers to your questions. So as Yeshua will be presenting, please write down your questions. And then once he's done, we'll have a Q&A session. And then after that, I'm going to take a few minutes, maybe 10 to 15, to take you through the RIMA tool. The RIMA tool show you how we can import clean data into RIMA, do the analysis in RIMA, and the type of result we can get from RIMA. Okay, and after that session, we'll be having some questions on that practical aspect, and then the last part of the training will be for my colleagues and myself to provide you with a homework. We'll give you the trial data that I'll be using. You will practice with it, but most importantly, we'll give you a link that will provide you with access to an online course on understanding RIMA, and that will be both the understanding RIMA and the practical exercise that you'll be doing yourself will constitute the meat of our next session, okay, where it will be mainly Q&As about your experience, what you learned, and so forth and so on. So let me not take too long. I will turn back to Yeshua so that he shares his screen and then take you through the RIMA theory. So is anyone having any burning question to ask before we get started, or we are good to go? 3, 2, 1. I think you are all fine, right? Okay, Yeshua, the floor is yours. Over.
Okay, thank you, Ojo. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
It's probably loading.
Okay.
Yeah, we can still see you, but not the screen. So
okay, let me check.
Yeah, check if you are sharing the right screen.
Okay, so
Yeshua,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Is everything fine?
It's fine. Yeah. When I allow for sharing, it automatically quits.
Oh,
so, okay. Let me share again.
Okay.
So this one.
Yeah, it seems like you have started. Excellent.
Which screen are you?
We are the projection one. Maybe you need to go to full screen mode.
Okay, let me reshare again. Okay. Okay, desktop share.
Now we can see the screen, not yet the presentation.
Okay, perfect.
Waiting for the yes.
Now you will see the full screen, right?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for that.
It's fine.
So today we are going to present a short overview of resilience index measurement and analysis, which is called RIMA. So this is mainly module 1 of RIMA, and this is from resilience analysis for action team, RISA team from FAO. So the content of today's presentation includes a short introduction about RIMA framework. Then we'll go through the key components of RIMA. Then we'll highlight some application of RIMA, real-world application. Then we will introduce you with the e-learning course to understand RIMA, which is provided by FAO. Then finally, we will see some RIMA in action. Please, if you have any question, please feel free to ask anytime. Okay, so to start with today's presentation, we talk about concept of resilience. As you know, the nature of food crisis is changing, and food crises are now becoming longer and more protracted and complex instead of the catastrophic and short-term events. So this has implication on our focus in terms of focusing on persistency. So we must go beyond event-based assessment and track the persistency of vulnerability and need over time, which means to respond in the right way, we need to understand how people cope over time, what helps them to hang on, adapt, and recover. This is where we talk about resilience. It comes resilience as a concept, which becomes more important in understanding resilience, which helps us shift from reactive to proactive. It also enables us to use evidence-based policy, programming, and investment. In particular, when we talk about humanitarian development and peace nexuses. So the basic definition of resilience is, as you can see in the box, resilience is defined as the capacity that ensures adverse stressors and shocks do not have long-lasting adverse development consequences. So this definition tells us resilience is not just about surviving in crisis, but it is about maintaining progress despite adversity. Whether it's conflict, drought, or economic stress, resilience is about preventing setbacks from becoming permanent. So this means there is a need for shift from reacting to emergencies to building the capacity to absorb, adapt, and also move forward, even in the face of future shocks. So if you can see this simple figure, it shows that when there is a shock, the resilience score or the resilience. So this figure shows the resilience trajectory over time from 2015 to 2022. So at household level, for example, if you look at household level, the resilience score in the vertical line is decreasing when there is shock. After some time, for example, if you look at after 2009, the resilience score starts to increase, which means shock reduces resilience, but coping strategy, household is using coping strategy recovers from these shocks, and their capacity to deal with shocks increases. So their resilience increases. Then that's the general concept of resilience. So what is RIMA? When do we need RIMA? So RIMA is a quantitative approach that allows to measure resilience to food insecurity. So it helps us to go beyond averages to understand who is more or less resilient. This can be disaggregated by location, gender, or livelihood types. It tells us, for example, if female-led households in one region are coping better than others, and how, or helps us to understand or explore why these households are better in coping, which means how some households cope better with shocks. So it helps us to understand why some households cope better with shocks. In addition, RIMA supports evidence-based decision-making. It can be used for impact evaluation. Using RIMA-based data collection, we can employ impact evaluation to answer a research question. For example, did a project improve food security and resilience, or did it help households better withstand shocks, whether to mitigate the negative effect of shocks or improve their food security and resilience, or to determine what factors drive resilience in this context. So more importantly, we can say we can use RIMA to evaluate whether a project is actually helping people become more resilient. So if you can also see this figure on the right side, this is the RIMA conceptualization of resilience. So we have resilience in the middle, then we have the core pillars in the bottom, and in the upper we have also food security outcome variables. So resilience capacity, which allows a household to respond to and recover from shocks, is in the middle. Then this resilience is shaped by 4 key pillars: access to basic services, access to asset, both productive and normal assets. Then we have also social safety nets and adaptive capacity. So the stronger the pillars, the more resilient a household is likely to be. So if the pillars are more strong, which means households are going to be more resilient. Then once we estimate resilience, we look how this influences or affects food security outcomes, which is represented by FS1 and FS2. We call them food security outcomes. It can be dietary diversity or food consumption score or coping strategy index or any other food security indicators. So which means resilience is not the end goal. It helps protect food security when shocks hit. So the framework allows us to see what matters most in specific contexts, whether social protection or access to basic services or access to social networks or the ability of the household to adapt in changing situation. Basically, it links resilience drivers to real outcomes. Now, the focus of RIMA is household. So the unit of analysis in RIMA is, our main unit of analysis is household. So it's a household level analysis. There are reasons for this. The main reason is households are where real decisions are made, where the impact of shocks or support is most directly felt. For example, decision made regarding how to spend money or how to respond to shocks, droughts, or decision to migrate or to cope with rising food prices. And at the same time, households are where the policies and shocks are more felt. For example, when policies work well, it is households that benefits more. When shock hits, like conflict or inflation, it is also households that are affected the most. For that basic reason, the main unit of analysis for RIMA is household. Then we have also RSI. We need to measure how well households can cope with and recover from crisis. So we use this resilient capacity index. So the main definition of resilient capacity index is to measure households' capacity to avoid stressors and shocks from having long-lasting harmful effects. And this RCI is based on 4 key pillars, the one we saw earlier: access to basic services, household assets, social safety net, and adaptive capacity. And then we have also food security measures, our outcome of resilience. So it all depends on good quality. We need good quality data and clean variables to construct the input variables for these 4 pillars. So that's why data collection and also cleaning are so important in RIMA analysis. So basically, this graph shows when the pillars are strong, households are more resilient. That means we will have more RCI score, which means resilience is strong. We are more likely to see positive outcomes like improved food security. Then looking in detail for the 4 pillars, we have resilience pillars: access to basic services, assets, social safety net, and adaptive capacity. So the first one is access to basic services. This is all about whether a household can meet basic needs. For example, can they get to school or a health clinic or hospital or the nearest market? So access and quality of these services make a big difference, for example, during crisis. So in this category, we have different input variables measured by distance to market, distance to school, distance to health facilities, and so on. The second pillar is asset. This includes both productive and non-productive assets, for example, land, livestock, or different tools. It also includes housing, household items, and vehicle transport. So this asset gives family security and option when time gets tough or when times of crisis. The third pillar is social safety net. This pillar looks at support network, both formal and non-formal. In the formal, we have NGOs, international agencies, charities, but also informal assistance like from relatives, friends, or neighbors. So this connection often makes a difference in time of crisis. The last one is adaptive capacity. So it is the ability of household to adapt to any situation and develop new livelihood strategies. So it's basically about flexibility. Can household change jobs, shift strategies, or try something new if their current livelihood is disrupted? So it is the capacity to adapt and keep going. So based on these 4 pillars and input variables for each pillars, we can construct the estimate RCI score. Then in addition to the 4 basic pillars, we have also food security variables or outcome variables. So because we are looking at resilience and food security, we need to measure the food security level at household level to define RCI. To do this, we use different indicators that gives us a full picture of household food security. For example, food consumption score. This is how often different food groups are eaten in the household. Or dietary diversity, the variety of food items in the household's diet. Or food expenditure, how much is spent on food. Or we can also use reduced coping strategy index, how households adjust when food is scarce. For example, by skipping meals or eating less preferred food. So this food security indicator helps us define the level of food security. And from there, we can estimate the RCI. It shows whether households can avoid or sliding into food insecurity when shocks occur. So then this is the application of RIMA. So RIMA is developed by FAO, and since 2018, FAO has been at the forefront of resilience measurement. So FAO developed RIMA methodology, and over the years, RIMA has been adopted and applied around the world, helping governments, agencies, and researchers better understand resilience and design more targeted evidence-based policies. There are some examples of uses. For example, program monitoring supported by FAO country offices and UN agencies. Or there are also ad hoc use of RIMA for analysis by ESA, one division in FAO, and other division FAOs. And there is also use in terms of academic research by universities and researchers worldwide. So to give an example of RIMA application, we have one example, that's the use of RIMA in African Union Commission context. So the African Union Commission has made resilience one of the core part of tracking system under the Malabo Declaration, monitoring how countries are doing in the face of food insecurity, climate variability, and other shocks. So if you see the 3 figures, African map, in 2019, only 8 countries were reporting on resilience. By 2021, this number increased to 14 countries. Now, by 2023, 34 countries are reporting resilience, which means around 2/3 of the countries in the continent is reporting resilience. So this is a huge step forward, and this progress partly was made thanks to the FAO's RIMA tool and capacity building efforts that helped national teams measures and report resilience more effectively. So if you are interested, there are e-learning platform in FAO. If you want to learn more about RIMA, how RIMA works and why it matters. So this FAO e-learning academy is a good place. It offers a free online course, and it is short and it gives you a solid understanding of how RIMA is measured, how RIMA measures resilience to food insecurity. In addition to the good part is, if you attend this course, I think it only takes a few hours, you get a certificate and a digital badge when you finish the course. So it is a great way to boost your knowledge and show your skill. Whether you are working in research, policy, or programs, it is a good starting point. So just to give you a brief RIMA in action overview, this module 2 is for practitioners that directly involved in implementing RIMA projects on the ground. So it starts from collecting data to analyzing resilience using RIMA platform. So we have data preparation in the first step, data collection is the first step. So it talks about how you design surveys and gather the right data in the field. And then data preparation, how to clean and organize the data to get ready for analysis. Then how to use RIMA platform to calculate resilience indicator. This is the online platform to estimate RIMA. Then the last one is how to interpret the results and understand the current resilience situation before any kind of intervention. So to just give you a brief overview of each section, data preparation, data collection. So the first step in applying RIMA, like other research methods, is collecting the right data. And it all started with understanding the local context. As you know, every country is different, every situation is different. So survey needs to reflect this local context. So then the preferred approach is to use the RIMA short questionnaire. So this is a short RIMA questionnaire. It includes only 7 modules and 46 questions. And this is enough to construct the RCI score. The advantages, it reduces cost, it reduces time, and without overwhelming respondents or householders. There is also alternative if you can't collect or run surveys by yourself. You can also use secondary sources like existing national surveys. For example, national statistical offices, data from national statistical offices, the World Bank's Living Standard Measurement Survey, or UNICEF MICs. Most of these surveys have information enough to estimate RCI. And the last part is for field work, you can use either digital data collection method like CAPI. So you can use either Kobo, which is free for up to 5,000 submission, making this process smoother, faster, and more accurate. Or we can also use the others, Survey-Studio or other digital data collection methods. Once the data is collected, the big step is making sure it's clean and ready for analysis. This means doing some essential housekeeping, like removing duplicates, fixing errors and typos, checking for outliers, and deciding how to handle them, and also dealing with missing values. After that, we can start building the input variables needed to estimate resilience. So these are the input variables for each pillar. So those are the indicators that make up the 4 RIMA pillars, and the ones that measure food security outcomes, the one we saw earlier. So this is the foundation of everything if you want to estimate using RIMA. So a solid data preparation process is important. Then once you have data and clean everything ready for analysis, then it's using RIMA, the online platform, to estimate the RCI. So previously, RIMA was estimated using like Excel, Stata, R, or SPSS. So this is more technical and it takes also time. But now, with RIMA, the process is much easier. It is user-friendly platform that automates the analysis. So you can calculate RCI quickly and accurately. So the only thing you need is after cleaning the data and making it ready for the analysis, you upload your clean data, select your input variables for each pillar, and the tool does the rest. So there is no coding needed. This means less time crunching the numbers or more time focusing on what matters, which is interpreting results and also informing action. Okay, the last part is analysis. So after estimating resilience using RIMA, then you can dig into the results and understand what the data is telling us. So we do the baseline analysis, the full baseline analysis, looking at overall trends or comparing different groups or spotting patterns, for example, which households are more resilient, where are the gaps, those kind of things. And if it's also needed, you can also go deeper and do regression analysis or other statistical tools to explore the relationship or test assumption. So finally, the most important part is also the reporting finding in a clear and actionable way, so that decision makers and partners can actually use the recommendation or insight to improve policies, programs, and planning. So this is a short presentation to just introduce you with what RIMA is, what RIMA does, and in terms of how you use RIMA. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask. I will leave the floor to Ojo. Thank you.
Good job, Yeshua. Thank you. Thank you so much. So guys, since we are not in a room with an in-person presence, those who are following, can you put some thumbs up for Yeshua if you enjoyed the presentation like I did? Nobody following? I couldn't see any thumb up. Are you guys hearing us? Okay, I could see one now. 2, 3. Okay, only 3 people are following. Oh, okay, someone, yeah, Wale is clapping, Ebenezer as well. Okay, thank you. So Yeshua, your message was well received. So now, this is the time for Q&As. Don't be shy, step in and then bring your questions so that Yeshua, myself, or Anne, or Wale, we can bring in some light. So whoever is going to take the floor the first will get special congratulations from Wale. So who wanna do so? Mazima, Venice, Alor, Ebenezer, who else? Ajoa, you wanna take the lead? Alpha So, do you have any question? No question at all. Wale, your guys are shy today.
Hello. Good.
Yeah, Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for the wonderful lecture. I'm actually not new. I'm actually just learning ERIMA for the first time.
Okay.
And the only question I would like to ask is going back to the pillars. The safety, that is SSN, which is the social safety net pillar, which measures the ability of household to access assistance provided by international agency, charities, NGOs, as well as relatives and friends. So how does ERIMA, how can one incorporate the SSN to assess government support to the citizen? Like I mentioned, you focused on most of the focus was on food security, food availability, if that also suffices, and other critical areas of which FAO covers. So Is there other pillars on which one can assess the government? Maybe let's say in a location like Nigeria, for example. So that's just my question on that. Thank you.
Excellent question. Excellent questions. So, Yeshua, you wanna go ahead and provide him with some insight?
Okay, thank you. So in terms of the social safety net pillar, there are variables. So different variables like formal assistance or formal transfer. So in terms of creating the variables, you will need to create the formal assistance in terms of monetary value. So if you have cash and also if you have received monetary transfer, we will add up and create formal transfer, one variable. Then we have also informal transfer. The same thing, we will produce variables, the input variable, informal transfer in terms of monetary value. Then there are also other input variables like relatives, number of relatives, number of access to association, how many association household is a member. So we have these 4 or 5 variables. Then we standardize these variables for social safety net. If I got your question correctly. The other things in terms of the context, that's a different story. Yeah, that's why in the presentation I said the context really matters, and the surveys need to account that. Then you need to capture that in terms of running the RSA as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeshua,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So the practical session in RIMA will help you see how a variable that's like capturing a specific project or intervention, let's say school feeding program. Okay, you have some households benefiting from school feeding program and then other household not. The RIMA and the RIMA process will help you see the difference in resilience between those two types of households. And RIMA can help you assess how effective is the school feeding program in improving the resilience of benefiting household, for instance. Okay, so that's exactly what Yeshua's put in his own word, and which I think is bringing a lot of light to your questions. Any other question? There were a few questions in the chat, so the next session will provide more aspects. So let's not waste too much time. You guys keep digesting the presentation made by Yeshua's. We will share those with your mentor, Wale, and then you will all have access to those slides. Okay. So let's move to the practical session, and then from there we are going to start having some very quick trial in ERI. Okay. So let me share my screen very quickly and proceed. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Anyone? Okay, thank you, Yeshua. So see this folder I opened, I named it RIMA, and it's on my desktop, okay? And inside I put a data set called trial data, okay? So this trial data is an Excel file. Let me drag it here. Can you still see the Excel file, or you are seeing the previous?
The previous one, the folder one.
The previous folder. Okay, yes. So let me reshare. Okay, so this is here is the trial data I opened. Okay, so this is a trial data. You will see Egypt here, but it's just a way to name and give you an sense of a country. Okay, and then we have a certain number of households. Okay, the data set includes, let's say, 2,000 households that were questioned, and then Yeshua told you that we have 4 major pillars that we are assessing. Social safety net, you will see the variables that go under social safety net are labeled as SSN. The variable that goes under access to basic services have ABS. There we are tracking distance to, key amenities or key basic services like health, like schooling, like markets. Household assets carry variables, they carry the initial AST. Okay, and here we are assessing like the livestock owned by the household, the agricultural materials that they own, or other assets like motorbike, bicycles can be also included here. The household overall cash income can be captured here, and the food produced can be also captured. Okay, and then we have another pillar called adaptive capacity, right? And the adaptive capacity, we are capturing the diversity of household income. We are capturing how many crops the farming household, for instance, are producing. Okay, we are capturing the education level within the household, as that can help the household assess some adaptive information. Okay, and so forth, so on. And then importantly, you need to have some food security indicators. You need at least 2 of them. Under other pillars, you need at least 3 variables. And then under food security, you need at least 2. Okay, it can be food consumption scores. It can be household dietary diversity scores. It can be coping strategy index. Okay, and it's also important in resilience analysis to keep variables that we name as, household disaggregation variables, profiling variables, okay? These are variables may include, like here, the governance. Like you may have a country with 37, 30, 50, 15. You want to track and compare those governance, those departments, those states, one to another one. You can also have a variable gender where you are comparing male-headed household with female-headed households. Okay, you can have a profiling variable like income source. Okay, you can have 5, 2, 3, 7 different income sources in your data set, and you want to see how household resilience depending on which income source they belong to. Okay, so just to let you see the data set the way it looks like. And to get here, you need data collection, like what Joshua said, the process, data collection, data preparation. So you need to clean the data, whether you collect it using a paper questionnaire, Kobo toolbox, or any other data collection tool. You want to make sure that you have cleaned your variable, coded your profiling variable in a way that you can recognize which one are women, which one are men. Income sources, which source is identified as 1, which source is identified as 2, which source is identified as 3, right? So that you can interpret the result that you are getting after the analysis. And all these are included in a manual that's online. So when you will go to the, you type RIMA FAO, you go to the website, and then you will see a lot of resources there. So let me do that, and then you will see which type of resources we have there. Okay, so let me go now to the Google page. So you can see the Google page I opened, right? So when you come here,
yes,
yeah, well, okay. Thank you, Joseph Tayo. So when you come here as a good student, you want to see, have some resources on RIMA, just type in RIMA FAO. And normally those who were preparing for this training, probably out of curiosity, you did this to see what is all going to be about, okay? So when you Google this, you will see FAO.org and then Resilience Index Measurement Analysis, which means this one is sending you to the RIMA website of FAO. You see, when you open it, it's defining RIMA here. It's showing you the understanding RIMA course that Yeshua told you about. You can see here some publications on the resilience analysis in Senegal, Some are in French for those who are comfortable in French. Some analysis are done in Kenya. This one is done in Karamoja in Uganda. Okay. And then you have here the contact of the RIMA team. You can email the RIMA team if you have a question. And this email, when you shoot an email, there someone is going to reply to you. This RIMA 2 book you can download it, and it has a lot of information on the methodology behind the RIMA. It provides you with a lot of literature based on what Yeshua has provided you into the short presentation this afternoon. The understanding RIMA course is doing the same. It's simplifying the information for you to grasp the core message of RIMA analysis. Okay, and then here you have the short questionnaire that Yeshua mentioned. Assuming you are collecting data for your thesis, your dissertation, and then you want to use the RIMA approach, this short questionnaire here is providing you in English, French, Spanish, and Arabic a few questions that you can include in your questionnaire to run your survey so that you can do the RIMA analysis. And here we have the e-RIMA toolkit, okay, which we are going to use right now. So when I click on e-RIMA toolkit, you are going to have a window with two options, okay? We will use today the resilience at household level. We have a data set which is collected from households in one specific period, and we want to analyze their resilience. Then we are using resilience at the household level analysis. But assuming the same household for which I will run the analysis today, we collect data from the same household within like 3 months. And then I want to compare the resilience between the current status in April to the one that I will get in June or July. Then you are going to use the baseline and follow-up option. That will help you compare both status, and it provides you with some comparative analysis where you can get better insight. So I was mentioning some resources, okay? So here you have a short RIMA questionnaire again, and you have the Shiny RIMA guideline. So you see, Shiny RIMA is the same like e-RIMA. We used to call the tool Shiny RIMA, and now it's called the e-RIMA, okay? So it's exactly the same thing. And this guideline is taking you through the process of data cleaning. When you collect your data, how do you clean different variables to make sure that your data are well cleaned before you bring them into the e-RIMA tool. Because if data are not well cleaned, assuming you have some household for which the information is not well written, the e-RIMA application will drop them and you are missing some information, right? And you don't want that to happen. So the best way to make sure that you are analyzing your data set, including all households, is to clean your data set very, very well, like you do in other analysis. And then here you have e-RIMA support with frequently questions, okay? So if I were you, I know what to do this afternoon or this evening before going to bed, and you can finish it all. Okay, so now let's get into the e-RIMA analysis. I will show you how you bring in your data sets, okay, and then take you through the different steps that you are going to have, okay? And if at some point someone feels like they have a burning question, stop me, okay? Feel free, don't be shy. Stop me and ask the question. So now I need to, let me briefly tell you what's happening here. So this window is helping me upload my data set, and shortly we'll go and find that data set I opened, the Excel one, okay? And then I have to tell him whether I'm using Excel, text files, data, or SPSS. And then I validate, and once I validate, I have these windows that allow me to import at least 3 variables for access to basic services, 3 variables for household assets, 3 variables for adaptive capacities, 3 variables for social safety nets, and at least 2 variables for food security. Once I do this, I can come and check the input overview, check the overall analysis, see the comparative analysis. Maybe we can compare women to men, we can compare governance, or we can compare household depending on their source of income. Okay, and then special visualization, assuming you have data for Uganda, it can help you map it through the map of Uganda, okay? But that means you need to have like specific information telling him the names of districts and all those. And then at the output side, we can import our data set. We can download it and do other analysis in Excel if you want. Okay. Is anyone having any question at this point? Anyone having any question? Joseph, are you following?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
I'm with you, sir.
Good job. Let me name someone else. I saw someone. Who am I going to call? Amadou. Amadou is our colleague. Yeah, Amadou is our colleague. Yeah. Okay. So,
Dr. Joe, I'll raise my hand if you want to come in later, please.
Yeah, Wale, go ahead. You are the boss, so.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Joe. Just for clarity, I understand this perfectly, but just for the mentees to understand it better. So I want to ask at least 3 questions. The first one is, who represents you? Because the unit of measurement is the household. So who represents the household? In this case, are you talking about the household head?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Any member of the household?
Is the household. So often the questionnaire is administered to the household head. Okay, and then he is the one answering the household. So like when the variable gender is actually identifying the household head gender.
Okay, so in this case, when you have women-headed, you can have male-headed and female-headed household.
Exactly, exactly, Professor. Exactly.
The second question has to do with some categorization of the household variable. My interest is on the income source.
Yeah.
I don't know how this was done because in the household, because the household head is representing the household, many people are contributing to the income of the household. So how do you then use one category to represent the income source of the household? That's what I want to clarify.
Yeah, that depends.
Self-employed, another person is artisan, another person is casual worker, things like that. Another person is student, but getting some stipend. So how do you then bring everything to say this is the income source of the household?
Yeah, I mean, Professor, that's a good question. But here in the data set we are analyzing, the questionnaire was administered taking into account the main income source. Okay, so the household can have different source of income, and that's captured in the income diversity index. But in order to compare household, we want to compare household depending on the main income source. So some household might be living upon farming, but it doesn't prevent the woman from like selling, some other stuff on the market. Okay, but if the main income source of the household is made out of the agriculture product that they produce on farm, then farming is here mentioned as the main source of income for the household. And this depends on the objective of each research. This may not apply to a research where maybe one of your mentee might be looking at comparing, secondary income sources and how those secondary income sources are contributing to resilience. Then the emphasis is going to be on the secondary income source, and they may create a specific variable for those in order to assess how those are contributing to, let's say, the household resilience, for instance. But here, for the purpose of this disaggregation, we are keeping the main income source. As far as that income source is bringing the highest ratio of income for the household to meet their ends, then that's the one we are keeping. Wale, maybe Wale, you can also provide more elements that can help mentees.
Yes, I was thinking that maybe having income diversity index might be a better way. So the higher index shows many diversity, because if you're looking at resilience, if you have one source of income or the dominant income and there is a form of shock, then it might just be difficult to recover quickly, because resilience building is about how they build back better.
Yes,
okay, so
and I agree with you. The income diversity index is part of variables that we mostly and frequently, often, I will emphasize 3 times, we include that under adaptive capacity, because that's both income diversity index and crop diversity index. Because for farmers, one way to be resilient is not rely on monoculture, right? It's the same for the household. You don't want to rely on only one income source. If there is a shock that hits that income source, then you are completely, you are becoming completely put down. So the income diversity index, as well as the cropping diversity index, is included under adaptive capacity for building the pillars that constitute the resilience capacity index. But for the discrimination that we want to do, we just want to compare households depending on their main income sources. And that's where we created that dummy variable with 5 levels. 1 being like farming income, 2 being income coming from sales, 3 being income coming from, let's say, remittances received from someone living abroad, 4 being income coming from, off-farm activities and things like that, just to compare and offer ourselves some ways to disaggregate the thing and analyze across different main income sources.
Okay, the next question is,
someone want to say something.
Sorry, just Ojo. I want to add more on that in terms of the unit of analysis. When we say, as you said, the RIMA main unit of analysis household, it doesn't mean the questions are at household level, at the head. As Ojo said, the respondent might be, most of the time, in many cases, the household head. But most of the question in RIMA is household level question. So it doesn't matter whether income is from other member or the household head or within the family. So we ask the question, for example, as Ojo said, in terms of the main income source. So when we ask, what is the household's main income source? So the household reply. That means maybe the spouse or the child was the main provider for this household, even if the head's main income is different. So we use this household level information for some household level information for some analysis, like profiling, for example, female-headed or male-headed. Or sometimes we may include them in the input variables. For example, household head's education, whether it's literate or not. But we also ask individual questions like the highest education level within the household. So we don't know which member is has the highest education level or not. So when we say the unit of analysis household, doesn't mean the unit of analysis household date. We mean we only focus on the household. So we don't go into individual level analysis, but we can use household data information for profiling or some of the variables for input variable, just to clarify. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you, Yeshua.
Thank you.
So, Wale, you have a third question, right?
Yes, but just to also add that I know the RIMA also talking about income, because income is very tricky in terms of how people build back better. I know we also have this indicator, dependency ratio. So that can also be something to be able to pick information on the household level, talking about how many members of the household are depending on the income of the group. So that can also give us some information. Do you want to explain that? Maybe you, in the analysis, you will explain that. Or at what point will you also explain the dependency ratio and how it also relates to income categories and income diversity?
Yeah, we don't have it in the data set that I have in hand, but let me give the opportunity to Anne also to jump in so that I don't just conduct a monologue. Anne, are you still with us? Yeshua, is Anne around? Can you check? Or maybe she left already.
I can
Oh,
jump in
okay.
for here.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Oh, Anne is there, but it seems like
Anne
she
is
can't
here,
hear us.
but I think she's struggling with the mic.
The internet. Okay, yeah. So go ahead, Yeshua. Go ahead.
Okay, when we see dependency ratio, we usually use the standard definition of dependency ratio. So we have these adults, right? Adult member of the households. We have also children and old elderly household members. So basically, when we calculate dependency ratio, we use this to find the ratio. The number of children and plus the number of elders divided by the total number of adults. So basically, it's based on the standard assumption of dependency ratio. So the idea is when we say income, children are not supposed to work, right, by the definition. So from 14 or 15 to 65, that is the adult population, which means those household members out of this range are considered that dependent. Then that's just a ratio. So it is not directly related to the income source we ask. If it is a bit clear.
Yes, thank you very much. But others, sometimes also you can have an adult in the household that is also not working. So that a definition assumes that everybody between 15 and 65 is working, but it's also possible not to have somebody.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Agreed, Professor Wale. Agreed. And then
when you talk about unemployment, high rate of unemployment in the country, and you're saying, oh, they are there, they should be working. No. So there are two ways of measuring. So you can use the children and the adults you mentioned, cut off 14, 15, 14 and below, then above 65. But you can also actually capture actual number of people working, even though there's also a problem of underemployment on that. But at least you'll be able to reduce the error. The last question is, I know that the RIMA has minimum number of households that you should have. Maybe you should also emphasize that. Can you have 150 households and you'll be able to run RIMA? Or do you need to have a threshold of number of households to be able to really perform RIMA? Thank you.
No, with 100 and going above, you are good. See, there is what econometrics call degree of freedom, right? And we said we need 3 variables under each pillars, and we have 4 of them, which makes 12 plus minimum 2 variables for the food security indicators, which means that you are having a total of, you are running a regression model using the principal component analysis model where you are having minimum of 14 variables and assuming you are having more. So you can't just have a survey of 14 households and expect RIMA to do a very good analysis. You are not giving him enough room to run and capture any variability because you are having the number of variables being equal to the number of the observation that you are analyzing. So in order for you to have a good degree of freedom, make sure that your model is converging very well, means you increase the number of observation, which is the number of households that you are surveying. So yes, you need as much household as your budget allows to get, but once you are somewhere around 3-4 times your number of variables, you are good to go. And the more you increase the number of observation, the better or the robust the estimate that you are getting out of your analysis. Wale, is that helping?
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. So now, guys, the time is running against us, but this discussion was very helpful, okay? Let me take you through how it works. You won't have all answers from what I'm going to do because it's going to be a bit quick, but we will share the data set with you and we recommend that you go online yourself the way I went up to this level and then do this, okay? It will help you and you will come up with some nice charts and good stuff, and then that will help you ask questions during the next session. And feel free to share your screen, show us what you got and how you are interpreting what and so forth and so on. So let's go fetch our data from the RIMA training folder. The data set is here. See, it's loaded because my internet connection is okay. Otherwise, it may take a while. And then it's Excel data, okay? So I keep Excel here and then I validate, okay? So it starts telling you guys here that I don't have yet variables selected under this pillar. Let's now start putting variable under access to basic services. And that's why labeling helps, okay? We have ABS nest. I really don't know what it means because I don't have my README file here, but you should have it because you guys will be manipulating your own data set, okay? So we put this variable and it's showing there. We are adding this one, and then we need a minimum of 3. This one is talking about electricity. Let's have it, okay? And then let's go to assets, household assets. We look for asset variable. We have this one. We're taking this one, and then let's take which one? This one is talking about wealth, right? It has 0 and the other one doesn't have 0. So let's assume that the one that doesn't have 0 is probably best. Okay, so we're having 3 variables under asset. Adaptive capacity, let's also put 3 variables under adaptive capacity. So three variables, and then social safety nets. I think they are starting here. So this is the place where your colleague was asking a question. Assuming the government has a program that targets some households, you can include in households that have benefited from the program or not, and that you can help tell whether the program contributed to improve resilience or not. Okay. We have a minimum of 3 variables. So let's go to food security now. And then I think those ones were down here. We have food consumption score. And then we have this one, which looks different, okay? So here is how it's giving us a snapshot of the 10 first observation, okay? It's telling us the variables that are included in each list. So now let's come back to the data overview here. It's providing us with the data overview. Overall analysis will tell us that for the household that are included in this sample, and based on the variable that I have selected, the average resilience capacity index for the aggregated sample is 53.35, right? And then it's showing the resilience structure matrix, saying that 35% of the resilience is coming from access to basic service, 24 is coming from assets, 32 is coming from adaptive capacity, and 9% is coming from social safety net. The radar plot here is giving you a correlation between the variables included and access to basic service. Okay, it's giving the correlation among variables included in adaptive capacity. And you can look at all those variables under assets and the one under social safety net. Okay. So this one is showing the RCI distribution. So it's mapping the resilience capacity in the distribution across the different households. And let me do something. Let me come here and add one access to basic service variable. We will see that the resilience capacity index has changed. The aid contribution distribution has changed. Remember, social safety net was 9, it's now 8.8. And then you will see that the distribution shape has also changed, okay? So you want to have a normally distributed RCI, but it doesn't have to be the case, depending on the type of data set you're analyzing and the information that you collected from household. Now, let's do some comparative analysis, okay? Let's compare the governance that are included in this sample and see which one is doing better than which one. So I selected the household governance variable, and then I click on Go. Okay, so one governance is A, another one is B, another one is C, another one is D. So clearly, governance C is having the highest resilience capacity index, followed by A, and then comes governance B, and the last one is governance D. And then you have the resilience structure matrix telling you which pillar is driving the resilience capacity in all of these governance. Okay, and you can interpret this and provide some information. Like when you take governance C, which is leading, you see most of the resilience capacity here is coming from adaptive capacity. Okay, adaptive capacity and actually access to basic service are the same level. And then number 3 is assets, and then social safety net is lagging. Okay, and then you can look at each govern it and tell what's going on. It's providing you with the radar, with the correlation as well, so that you do the analysis. Let's change the comparison variable. Let's take gender.
Eloyo.
Yes.
Just with here, in terms of the profile variable. So this is one of the answer for the previous question, whether government providing assistance and how to incorporate in RIMA analysis, right? So if government is providing assistance, then we have a variable saying that these households are receiving assistance from the government and the others are not. So we have 1, 0 variable, right? Then we can profile here government assistance, one variable, and see the difference between the two groups, as you mentioned here, right? We have here 4, but if it's only about government assistance, receiving government assistance or not, then we'll have here 2 outputs. Then we can compare, because of that government assistance, whether the resilience score is improved or not. We can just compare like this one. So just to mention this one.
Hello, Yeshua.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeshua, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you, Ojo.
Yeshua, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you, Ojo.
Oh, yeah, I'm having...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think my headset, I lose the charge of my headset. Let me change and have another Bluetooth headset, please. I do have 20% on the other one, and it's supposed to work.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me make sure that.
Oh, perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes. So
okay.
I was saying in terms of the previous question, we can use the government assistance as a profiling variable. So
definitely
we can see whether providing assistance or receiving assistance from the government affect household resilience level. So we check with RCI, but we cannot include it directly in the input variables.
But you still can, Yeshua, because assuming a question was asked to household, yes or no, you received the government assistance or not, that can be a dummy variable, and within the social safety net pillar, you can still have it. Then you will have to use some t-testing to see how resilience capacity discriminate across.
Exactly, you can include it, but if you as you said, if you include it in SSN, we need to go deeper and see how that variable affects the resilience score.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Thank you, Yeshua.
And also in the previous part, if you also highlight the tests, I think one of the important parts. The last part in the previous one, the general one.
Yeah, if you highlight what, can you say it again?
The previous, I think, part. In the overall analysis, yeah, the last part, the tests.
Oh, yes.
This one, yeah, this one are also important.
Yeah, I agree, because guys, this is a tool that RIMA, thank you, Yeshua, for bringing this up. So when you run the test from the window, the overall analysis, you see this, and then you go down to see the index that's telling you how your roots RMS is being well fitted or not. The CFI index in the 2 calories. You can Google this and understand how it works, but basically it's telling you if you are fitting well the model on it, okay? And this is important because those are questions the member of your committee might be asking you when you'll be defending your research. Or if you are publishing it, the reviewers might be questioning this. So Another profiling variable is gender. And you can compare here and see that women-headed households are having higher resilience capacity than men-headed households. You can look at the resilience capacity index, resilience structure matrix, and see that for male-headed households, the access to basic services is lower than for women. Okay, and then women seem to have higher social safety net contribution to resilience capacity index compared to men, right? And you can look at this as well. Let's see for different income sources. Okay, we had 5 of them. Okay, so clearly the income source number 5 has a higher resilience capacity as compared to others. And you can look at the resilience structure matrix depending on the income source and make your own story, tell what's going on, whether it's intuitive or counterintuitive. It's up to you as a researcher to dig in. Okay. Now the map for the visualization will not appear because we don't have the map for the country that we are addressing here. But the output window is giving you the output with the new variable. See here now you have the residual coming from your estimation, the regression, and then you have the resilience capacity index. New variables you have the pillars, ABS, ASC, AC, and social safety net. So the interesting part I want you to learn here is that the RIMA analysis helps you calculate the resilience capacity index. But assuming you are doing different research, okay, and you want to include in your analysis how access to basic service is affecting, let's say, agriculture productivity, or how household assets affects agriculture productivity. You can use RIMA tool to have a variable that you can name assets. And this variable is going to be a composite variable made out of the different sub-variables that you have included under assets in your RIMA analysis. Okay, and as Wale was saying for income, when you want to sometimes not clearly disaggregate between which source of income is the main one and you want to have something composite, you can do this and now export this variable for the household and include that in your regression elsewhere in order to tease out some information on how it's contributing. But that's a digression to let you know how useful RIMA can be, even if you are not purely doing a resilience analysis. Okay. Now, over to you. Do you have any question, comment? And from the output table, you can download your data sets. Okay. For the comparative analysis, if I click on download analysis, I'm downloading a PDF file that contains these graphs, and I can use Snap tool to copy them and put them in my document. Even from the overall analysis, I can download the overall result. I can download output quality measures. Those ones come in Excel and it's telling whether you are fitting the model poorly, well or not. Okay. Yeah. Over to you. Questions, comments? Joseph Taiwo. Any question? Ajoa Yewa. You have any question? Go ahead. EDBC, Enoch. Hello. Any question? Let me go far away and find Wandera Takim. You're not talking. Don't be shy. Daniel Omopariola. Tolu Wanimitayo.
Thank you very much for no comment for now. Thank you.
Excellent, Daniel. No comment means everything is fine, right?
Yes and no.
Yes.
I'll still need to do further reading on that. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So Salufu, yeah, hello. Who is talking?
This is ADBC.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for that lecture or teaching. When you went through the maps, I was wondering why you said that feature was not coming up.
Oh yeah, see, here we have special visualization camp for different countries, right? Assuming I had Egypt here, I could, in those data we call it Egypt, right? Assuming I have the map of Egypt here. For it to show on the map, I need to clearly label each different governance in Egypt so that RIMA can understand that here is how they want to map the resilience capacity that was estimated. See, I'm telling him it's Egypt, and I'm at the level of admin 2, okay, which is the governance, but you want to select the corresponding admin level variable, which I don't have here. Even if I tell him that is household governance and I click OK, he cannot match them because I named the governance as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and his naming system of governance on this shape file is not exactly the same. Okay, so we didn't mean to get you through the mapping system, but if you want to do it, let's say for Nigeria, and you want this to map it for you, then you want to map the variable that identifies the state of Nigeria the same way that those states are mapped in the shapefile. Then RIMA can recognize and match each state against itself and show on the map what the different level of resilience capacity is. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And when you'll be doing your project, if you want to use that, just send us an email and then we'll be more than happy to assist you. And this applies to everyone. You want to do RIMA analysis, you think you need help, shoot an email to the RIMA team and then someone will revert to you and then we'll support you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other question? Okay. Yeshua,
Well, thank you.
Amadu. Yeah, go ahead. Who is talking?
This is Joseph talking.
Oh, Joseph, go
thank
ahead.
you for for the insightful presentation, and I really enjoyed the presentation and the tool. Like I'm really interested in learning more. So, but for now, there's no question. So I'll go further and explore, as you've explained. And if there's any question, so as suggested, so I'll reach out for more clarity. Thank you.
You're welcome. And take the understanding RIMA course. That will definitely help you. And then the trial data will share that with Wale. Wale will push it to you. Go inside the tool, do your own trial, download the files, look at them, ask yourself how you could analyze this. And then for our next session, we'll come back for the questions. Actually, Wale, that next session is falling onto one important meeting that we are having here at FAO.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll have to see. I will tell you what other options work, and then we can assess, and depending also on the number of people who want us to have that discussion, we can have it.
Okay, and that session will be more productive after everyone must have taken the RIMA course online.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You need to take the RIMA course online. You need to use the trial data to do your own thing through this. And see, you learn through trying and failing. If you are not ready to fail, then you are not learning. And try it. And if you have questions, assuming tomorrow someone is doing and they can't even find their way, if you send me an email, I can clearly call you and have a short discussion on you on Teams or Zoom and show you. It's always a pleasure to share. But if you don't try, then you won't learn much out of this because you just listen to something for 1 hour and it doesn't make you a specialist until you decide to practice again.
Okay, I think we should be rounding up now. So I will call on somebody to appreciate the team from FAO. But let me try to summarize the next steps. Just as we have started, the next step is for you to go online and take the RIMA course, and you will obtain a badge to say that you have been certified as a RIMA expert. That's the first thing. And you have 2 weeks to do that between now and end of the month. I think that we have a window. Well, we want to check from our end how many people have taken the RIMA course, and based on the critical mass that we generate, then we now call for the second meeting for the feedback and evaluation. But note that that meeting will come up around the end of the month, end of April or latest first week in May. But what is important for you, don't even worry about the next meeting. What you worry about is you going online reading the materials and using the materials to engage yourself and take the course online. Just
and then
to also
Wale, second element, we'll share the trial data with them. We want them to play with it. And then when coming for the discussion session, I would love from those who are really interested in this tool to put the resilience analysis in their own context and take an example of analysis that they want to do for, let's say, their class project, their thesis, their dissertation. Just come up with some topic, assuming you want to assess resilience for fishery community somewhere. And you can take us through, okay, here is how I think I can apply what we discussed. And if you have any question, you bring it, we will discuss it, and that will help someone else understand. I think that will really make the next session rich if everyone takes it very practically. You do the understanding RIMA course online, you try the trial data, and then you kind of frame a study in which you want to use RIMA and the eRIMA to do your analysis, and you come back to us. It will enrich all of us.
Yes, thank you. That is the goal, actually. And I want to, by the time you have the data set, the trial data, you can save it in another name and change some things to adapt it to something that you are thinking about. For instance,
Definitely.
if there's a government, if in the data set it's a government of intervention on school feeding, but the intervention in your own area, your country is not school feeding. So you can change that data to accommodate what you have in your own country and run the same process. So you can tickle with the data and run different scenarios. But I also wanted to emphasize that in the pillars, we choose the minimum of 3, but you can even choose more than 3 and see how it plays out. So it's when I'm doing data analysis, I see it as playing with the data. So play it, play penalty, play free kick, just enjoy yourself.
Exactly.
Data, all right. So we'll share the presentation and the sample data set that you will use for the online test, and then you can also adapt it to your own study. It may not have an immediate study now, but something you just think about based on the knowledge you have gained today.
Thank
so
you,
that said,
Wale.
just as Dr. Jones also said, from the past, we have been having a lot of interest coming from the mentee to say, I want to do this, but sometimes because they don't even have supervisor on the ground to help them to understand. So if you are bringing something that is strange to your supervisor, sometimes the supervisor just, oh no, this is not correct and things like that. So what we want to do going forward to help you is to, for instance, one of my PhD students who I'll be talking with Jojo later, I'm asking him to use this tool. So we will walk through it together to demonstrate. And as many people who are interested, just let us know. We can also speak to your supervisor. Maybe you are doing your master's now, but you think, oh, your PhD, I want to experiment with this tool. So keep that idea ongoing. We are still together. AGMCP, even after the fellowship year, you are in the alumni team, so you can always come back to us and say, oh, that idea I thought of 2 years ago, now I want to implement it, something like that. I'm sure the FO team.
Yeah, and Wale, on that one, there is no worries at all. If there is a student, you know your mentees, who is very well committed and who think for we can help them go through resilience analysis, why not? Because part of our job also is doing research. So I have been supporting several of them. Over the 4 years I'm spending now on this RIMA tool, I have supported almost 10 students through their theses, their dissertations. I don't have to be in your committee. But if I can bring you some light and use this analysis, and that can help policy making and help things advance in your country, it's already a success for Africa. And that's why we are here.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anytime, connect me, and then Wale will assist them. So, Wale, a DBC Enoch asked a question about getting secondary data. I shared with them the World Bank LSMS data source. See, World Bank LSMS project has collected over years several household level data from different countries. Explore that website. Just type in Google World Bank LSMS data, create your own account with your email. And whenever you need some data, it will ask you what you want to do with the data. Fill it in, tell them you are doing a research project, and then they will give you access to data. It comes in Excel file, Stata file, SPSS file. You download it, you clean your data, you can do your analysis, or do your thesis, or do your publication. So I use it for my dissertation, for my PhD. I didn't have resources to go and collect data on the field. I use those secondary data collected at household level, and I published a lot out of it. So it's a recommendable source, and go ahead. Yeshua actually shared it in response already, so feel free to explore that.
Yes, and another, just to add, Dr. Ojo, another important thing about resilience analysis is it is very useful for panel data. What we have considered in this training, just one cross-sectional data. But I think, Dr. Ojo, maybe you can just say briefly about using panel data, comparing from one period to the other.
Yeah, and sure, why not? See, I show them the windows from which they could go. If you can see it here, like baseline and follow-up. You can even use the resilience at household level with panel, and then you export your data set. You can continue the analysis in Stata, Excel, or which software you feel comfortable with. But you can also use baseline and follow-up. If you go to this window, that will give you the possibility to bring in two data sets, okay? You can browse here, import two data sets, and then you specify which one is the baseline, which one is the follow-up. This means you have a panel of two waves, okay? You have two cross-sections that you are putting together, two cross-sectional data that you are appending and comparing household. And then you validate, and it takes you through almost the same principles. If you want to build cohorts, okay, assuming you don't have a perfect panel, and therefore you can't, all households are not comparable one-to-one, then you can build cohorts choosing sub-cohort variables, and then which are mostly profile, same as profile variables. You build your cohort, and then you select variables, and you can do the analysis moving forward. So any of you having to deal with panel data, you need support on it, reach out to us, okay? So Joseph, it seems like you want to ask a question. Can you go ahead?
Oh, yes, thank you for the opportunity. Yes, I wanted to ask the file, the Excel file you shared the other time. So I wanted to ask if the description of each variables, will be specified for us to be able to know, the definition of each variables.
No, we don't have that. See, we made up those variables so that we can use them during trial sessions. Okay? So you can give them the definition you want, but see, if you want to know which variables fall under different pillars, go through the short RIMA questionnaire. In the questionnaire, we have classified the different questions under different pillars, and then you can name the questions or the data that you have. Like that's what Wale was saying. Take the data, trial data will share with you. Take it, name it your own way, okay, identify it your own way that's meaningful for you, and then go into RIMA, play with it, and then try to do your analysis. Sometimes it will be intuitive, sometimes it will be counterintuitive, but that will help you make your own analysis. And when you will do your project, once you clean your own data, you select your variables, then that's when you know what you are studying, and you can move forward with it. We have data for some countries we are supporting for CADEP monitoring and evaluation, but we are not allowed to disclose those because it can go anywhere, and then that breaks a breach in the data protection system. So unfortunately, we can. But this one is a made-up data set that we use to take you through the process.
Okay. All right, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I think we should be closing now. Thank you very much, team from FAO. I want Ajowa to give the vote of thanks. I think, Ajowa, you are from Togo, right? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
You are from which country?
Togo, but I'm currently in Nigeria.
Yes, Dr. is from Togo.
So she knows. She probably knows.
Please give me vote of thanks, Ajewa.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, thank you very much, sir, for the presentation. It was really insightful and we enjoy it. On my side, it's my first time to hear about this tool, and I'm glad to hear about it because it's a new thing for me, and one day I can be using it to do some kind of analysis and publishing paper on it, why not? So I'm thinking it's the same for other colleagues. So I want to thank you very much for your time and the opportunity to share this with us. Thank you very much. And we will go through the file and learn more about it in order to gain a lot from the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ajoa. Those words are very warm to our heads. And I think my colleagues, Yeshua, Amadou, who joined. Amadou works for the office of FAO in the sub-region of West Africa. He's based in Dakar. And then my colleague Anne as well. We are taking it very well. So thank you so much for your attention. We look forward to having you all for the discussion session, okay? Don't neglect that. As a past student, I can tell you that sometimes you hear about some tools and then you may feel like, oh, am I really going to need this? And you may end up somewhere where you remember now that, oh, I wish I took this thing seriously. Okay, so come back, practice what we said, do the understanding RIMA, do the practice session, prepare your questions, come back, let's discuss. Don't be shy, and then let's make good connections and keep pushing things forward. So thank you, Wale, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Joe. If you don't mind, I will add you. I don't know that you're already on the platform for this cohorts. Otherwise,
I am.
Yeah, you are there. Okay, so
I'm there.
I don't know you are there, but I will tag that you are there, and if they have any question, they can just post it to you.
Sure. I'm just not talk active on the platform, but I'm there and I'm happy to be there.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
You enjoy the rest of the day, and bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, sir.